Hello everyone, Rupanjali here. Welcome to my page. Today in this video, we will be dealing with the second part of the chapter of economics, development. Today the topic is how to compare different countries or states. So here we are raising questions. What are the criteria or the criterion that we are going to follow to find out the difference between countries or states? How can we say one country as developed, other as developing, or the other as the underdeveloped countries? There certainly needs certain basis on which we can compare the countries. So, when we compare things, they could have similarities as well as differences. Remember, when we are comparing things, there will be similarities, there will be even differences also. Now the thing actually now arises on which aspect do we use to compare them. Like if we are supposed to compare them on their good qualities, the merits, or are we going to compare them on their bad quality? That matters. Let's take an example of comparing students in a class. Okay. In a class, the students they differ in their height, health, talents, and interest. The healthiest student may not be the most studious one. The most intelligent student may not be the friendliest one. So, how do we compare students? That is the most important question now. If we are supposed to compare the students within a class, there should be certain criterion. Okay, how do we compare students? The criterion we may use depend on the purpose of comparison. So here it comes. When we are supposed to compare the students, we have to first find out the purpose. What is the purpose of comparing? Then the criterion will come on. Okay. We use different criterion to choose as a sports team, a debate team, a music team, or a team to organize a picnic. So choosing student for various walks or activities, there will be different criteria. Still, if for some purpose we have to choose the criterion for all-round progress of the children in the class, how shall we do it? For our individual activity, the criteria will be different. But when we are supposed to compare the students of the overall development, then on what basis are we going to discuss? Usually we take one or more important characteristics of persons and compare them based on these characteristics. So usually what we do is then we used to take the most important characteristics of the person and compare them. Okay, of course there can be differences about what are important characteristics that should form the basis of comparisons. Friendliness and spirit of cooperation, creativity or marks secure. This could be the certain criteria on which we can compare the student for the overall development. This is same for it's true also for the comparison of countries. For comparing countries, their too income is considered to be one of the most important attributes. So to compare the developed countries or to compare the which country is developed than the other one, we use income as the main criteria. Okay, so more developed other than the countries which are more developed than other with less income. So here what we could see is that countries with higher income are more developed than others with less income. That is quite obvious that country having more income can afford for more facilities in life, more development of infrastructure or various other facilities required. Country with less income definitely will lack this advantage of developing. This is based on the understanding that more income means more of the things that human beings need. Whatever you people like and should have, they will be able to get with greater income. So greater income itself is considered to be one important goal. So as a greater income can get better facilities for the people, it is considered to be the most important goal. Okay, now what is the income of a country? Fine, we understand the income of an individual or a family, but when we talk about is a understanding what is income in terms of the country, so let's know what is it. Intuitively, the income of the country is the income of all the residents of the country. Just in general, what we can think is the income of the country is the income of all the individuals of the country. This gives us the total income of the country. When we talk about that, it is income of a country is the income of all the citizens of the country, then we add it up. That will be the total of the country. But will that make it clear that who earns how much? Do you think that each and every citizen of a country will earn equally? No, they won't. Some earn a lot, some may not earn that much. So now who earn how much is difficult to know when we find out the total income of the country. Okay, since countries have different population, comparing total income will not tell us what the average person is likely to earn. Are people in one country better off than others in different countries? Hence, we compare the average income. So it's difficult to know the average income of a person in the total income of the country. So hence we compare the average income of the country. Now what is average income? It is the total income of the country divided by its total population. Okay, we need to know the total income of the country and the total population of the country. Total income of the country divided by its total population will give us the average income of the country. This average income of the country is also called the per capita income. The World Development Reports, which is brought out by the World Bank, this criterion is used in classifying countries. Okay, countries with per capita income of US dollar 12,056 per annum and above 2017 in 2017 are called rich countries. So by 2017, the data given to us from the World Bank report, the countries that are earning an average income or a per capita income of 12,056 is considered to be developed. Okay, and the countries whose income is US dollar 955 or less are called low income countries. India comes in the category of low middle income countries because its upper capital income in 2017 just US dollar 1,820 per annum. So India lies in the low middle income countries with a 1,800 per capita annual income. Okay, the rich countries excluding the countries of Middle East. When we talk about rich countries, we are not talking about the Middle East countries, which appears to us to be rich because of the oil sector. And certain other small countries which we cannot consider the rich countries are generally called developed countries. So rich countries have more income, so more income means more facilities. So therefore, they will be called a developed country. Okay, now let's learn about comparing country on average income. Here is an example for us. We throw a table. Okay, here is a table. Comparison of two countries. Say suppose we have a country called A and country called B. In these two countries, there are 5 citizens. It's just to understand a situation, this table has been given. In country A, you can see that each and every individual, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, they all have a different monthly income of the citizen in rupees. Okay. Country B also you can see, they have different income. If we try to find out the average, for country A it will come around 10,000 and for country B it will be 11,600. So, in short, we can say the average income of the country per month is going to be almost the same. Okay, if you are given a option to choose the country, prefer the country to where you want to live, most of you will probably choose country A because each of them has a different earning, different average income. But if you are given only one option that you have to choose country B, you might have a condition that if I am the number 5th citizen of the country B, then only I will be. Because in country B, except for the 5th number citizen, rest of them has a very low income. But in country A, the income has been done by the different people with a good amount. Each of them has almost an equal amount of income. So, in that case, the average income is useful comparison. It does not tell us how this income is distributed among people. When we learn about average income 10,000 or 11,000 for country A and B respectively, it becomes very difficult for us to know how much an individual in that country earns, right? So if we are not given the individual earning, we will probably prefer to move on to country B. But looking at the individual's earning, we will prefer to be in country A. Okay, after knowing it, let's move on to the next part of the chapter, income and other criteria. Okay, what are the other criteria? Already we have seen income is the main criteria for comparing countries. What are the other criteria that we have to compare the countries? When you look at individuals' aspirations and goals, we found that the people not only think of better income but also have goals such as security, respect for others, equal treatment, freedom, etc. Remember, in our previous video, we have already learned about these non-material goals. These are not associated with money, the material thing. But we look for certain numbers of goals which are very important in our life. Similarly, when we think of a nation or a region, we may, beside average income, think of other equally important attributes. So when we, as an individual, prefer certain other things in our life along with the money, as a citizen of a country, we will like to choose the country, or we will aspire that our country should not only develop on the monetary matter, but it also should have certain other facilities which can be considered as a term to be used to compare countries. What could these attributes be? Let's now learn this with the help of a table. Haryana, Kerala, Bihar. These are the 3 states that's taken with their per capita income. Okay. Table 1.3, as you see in your page number 10, you can find out that the income of Haryana, Kerala and Bihar, actually these figures are per capita net state domestic product. Okay, not to get confused in it, let's consider simply it as the per capita income of that particular region in the year 2016 and 17. Roughly, we can take it to be the per capita income of the state. We find that of the 3, Haryana has the highest per capita income and Bihar is at the lowest. But this means that on an average, a person in Haryana earns rupees 1,80,174 in a year, whereas in Bihar, an average person in Bihar earns only around 34,409. So, if per capita income were to be used as the measure of development, Haryana will be considered the most developed and Bihar the least developed state of the 3. Now let's look at a certain data pertaining to this table. Here is another table you just look at, which we can just have a comparison for between these three states only. Just in the previous table 1.3 we have seen it was a comparison between the per capita income. Now let's consider the table 1.4. In the table 1.4 we have a comparison of mortality rate per 1000 live births, literacy rate, and even net attendance ratio per 100%. Secondary stage is 14 and 15 years. Data here is between 2013 to 17. Okay. Haryana, if you look, the mortality rate is 30, Bihar has 35, and the lowest mortality rate for the infant is in Kerala. Literacy rate, if you look at, Kerala has the highest literacy rate with 94%. Net attendance ratio, even Kerala top the table here. Before moving on to the discussion much about it, let's know the terms. What is infant mortality rate? Infant mortality rate, or IMR, indicates the number of children that die before the age of 1 year as a proportion of 1000 live children born in that particular year. So in a particular year, number of child born, say suppose out of 1000 child born, how many died? That will be considered to be the infant mortality rate. Literacy rate measure the proportion of literate population in the 7 and above age group. Okay, you will remember in class 9 you have learned about according to the 2011 census, a person above the age of 7 who have ability to read and write any language with little understanding will be called a literate. So it's a percentage of people being literate above the age of 7. Net attendance ratio is the total number of children of the age group between 14 to 15 years attending school as per percentage of total number of children in the same age group. So how many numbers of children of that particular age group are attending the school, that is the net attendance ratio. So we are now comparing these three states based on these three things. So moving on, what does the table show? The first column, as we have already seen, Kerala, out of 100,000 children, 10 died. So we already have seen the table here. Kerala has the lowest infant mortality rate, highest literacy rate, and even highest net attendance ratio. If we are supposed to consider this term over the income, which state we are supposed to choose for? Definitely Kerala. Okay. We have seen that by the comparison of the per capita income as well as some other comparative data on infant mortality rate, literacy rate, and the net attendance ratio, Kerala will be the most preferred country to live. Most preferred state to live. Even when I talk about terms of countries, same these conditions actually appear. Okay, other condition is the public facilities. Okay, we are talking about money. Is money enough to live a life? Already we have been learning that we need other conditions. But why money is not enough to live a life? Money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. Sometimes some people may feel like money is everything. Money can give everything to us. If we have money, we can purchase everything. But if you question, can we really? So income by itself is not a complete adequate indicator of material goods and services that citizens are able to use. For example, normally your money cannot buy a pollution-free environment or ensure that you get unadulterated medicine. Adulterated here means to mix certain thing to reduce the purity of the particular substance. unless you can afford to shift to a community that already has all these things. Okay, if you're living in a area where these facilities are not available, it's not possible for you that with your money you will make these things available to you in that locality, until and unless you move to a region where all these facilities already exist. Money may not also be able to protect you from the infectious disease. Fine. Look at COVID only. COVID 19. Has it seen people rich or poor? The countries which are considered to be rich, developed, they were suffering. They are the most sufferers. People are dying, thousands and thousands of them. So, could we protect them? Could their money protect them from being affected by the virus? No, not at all. Virus is not looking at people at who is rich or who is poor. So money is not enough to save your life. Okay. So unless the whole of your community takes preventive steps, if suppose the whole community here is not following what the government wants us to follow during this COVID-19 period, that it's not possible for you to save yourself. The best way also the cheapest way is to provide these goods and services collectively. The most comfortable thing in our life to get these facilities is that if we get these things in a collective way. If there is a demand of a particular thing by a collective group of people, the government will be compelled to give us the facilities. So let's take an example like will it be cheaper to have collective security for a whole locality or for each house to have its own security man? So you just think about which will be costlier, having one individual house a security person or the whole community pay for security person. What if no one other than you in your village or your locality is interested in studying? Would you be able to study? Not unless your parents could afford to send you to some private schools elsewhere. So you are actually able to study because many other children also want to study, and because many people believe that the government should open schools and provide other facilities. So it's not because of one individual family or one individual person schools, colleges or hospitals are set up. It is because the community need. It's because the entire group of people living in this region has this need. So this collective need or collectively working only can give us the facilities that we actually require in our life. Even now in many areas, children, particularly girls, are not able to go to high school because the government society has not provided educate facilities. As because there is probably not that need. In that particular community, the government or the other authorities who are supposed to give the facilities to those regions probably are not successful in doing so. Okay, Kerala has a low infant mortality rate because it has adequate provision of basic health and education facilities. Similar in some states, the public distribution system functions well. The health and nutritional status of the people of such state is certainly likely to be better. A place where the infant mortality rate is low, we can make out the medical facility in that particular state or particular country is developed. Medical treatment is available to all. Public distribution system, which we have been learning from class 9, also functions well. Nutritional status of the people is developing. So this all means that we have come to know that it's not money alone. It also includes the other things around us which are more important in our life. Okay. Next part of the chapter that we will be talking about is the Human Development Report. But as of now today, I will not continue the development report here. We will be doing it in the next video. Till then, I want you to go through this table, the table Education Achievement of Rural Population of Uttar Pradesh, and try to fill up the blanks based on the table, and we'll discuss this in our next video. Until then, thank you.